Hello, and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Off the Dome. I'm your humble interviewer, Jordan Brown, and with me for the very first time is our amazing animators. Say hi, amazing animators.
Hi, amazing
animators.
Melina and Sandy, thank you so much. This is so exciting. We got to see so much of your incredible work in Never Stop Blowing Up, but I want to start on a completely other subject, which is birds. You both are responsible for amazing bird animations. Melina, most recently on Make Some Noise, and Sandy, The Escape of Calamity, a 3-part animatic that made me cry 3 separate times. And I'm still pretty mad at you about it.
Sandy did do a great job on that. It also made me cry. True.
Yeah.
Wow. It is in one piece on YouTube. It's only on 3 pieces because of TikTok.
That's fair. Look, that's where my bread and butter is. So it's where I see most things. But yeah, did you guys have did you know you were going to have a deep bond over animating birds or bird type people, or is that new to you right in this moment?
I had never made the connection, and I hated animating birds.
I think it's an inevitability. Someone's you're gonna do it at some point. You're either gonna love it, you're gonna hate it. I ended up loving it, but wings, man. Anyone who draws will be like, yeah, no, that. Yeah, it was a very tiny bird.
I was drawing all
Duchess.
the little feathers on its wings. I don't know why I made myself do that.
Oh my god. You really shot yourself in the foot when you were like, I'm gonna make sure that this bird is so accurate to a real hog. Like, oh my goodness.
So I do have a calendar right in front of me that's all birds as well. So maybe I have a connection.
Yeah, an inspiration to draw more feathers. It's what the internet wants, probably. I don't know what the internet wants.
I do.
You two seem like you already know each other, which feels like a thing that would make sense as working on an animatic together. You were the people responsible for the first animatics we've ever seen in Dimension 20, the Never Stop Blowing Up animatics, which were so, obviously so well done, but like such an integral part of the storytelling it felt so important that we had those, I've lost the word that I want. The word where you draw things on little boxes and tell people that's the movie parts.
Storyboarding.
Thank you. Storyboards. Yes. The animated
Adore
storyboards. It. I'm not going to cut out me stumbling through it. If you all at some point would like me to cut out something, that's fine.
All good. No, we love the stumble. We got to stumble in order to get anywhere.
Yeah. I'm assuming you two had worked together before, or was this a first-time thing?
No. It was our first time ever meeting and working together, but I don't know, there was just something that we just loved. I mean, getting Sandy's first boards, like actually I got given Sandy's boards of the Calamity as like inspiration. They were like, this is what we're aiming for, and I'm like, I mean, do we just want to ask Sandy? They were like, we're gonna ask Sandy. I was like, yes. And then we got everything to come together. I don't know. I guess it just kind of worked out. Our style just meshes so well. So what can I say?
Yeah, it was a complicated like back and forth sort of thing when they were going through the process of like hiring us because like first they came to you when they hadn't quite formed the idea of what they wanted to do as I understand it, and I don't know how that went, but then eventually they came to just me and gave me a like pitch of what they wanted the idea to be and how much sort of stuff they wanted and how much time they had to do it, and I was like, impossible, can't do that. But if there was another person it would be possible, and then they went back to Melina, and then that was the first time we met when
amazing.
We were both on it finally.
We did meet behind the scenes though. They were like, yeah, we'll get you guys in touch, and then they accidentally linked our emails together, and I was like, hello, nice to meet you. And then they were like, oh, I don't know if you guys have met each other. We're like, we already did. We called each other before.
Just like...
We couldn't help ourselves. We're just too nosy.
Yeah. That's super fair. Yeah, I'm super curious about that pitch that came to you. It sounds like Melina came to you first, and then Sandy to you, of like, hey, we have this idea. It sounds like maybe not fully fleshed out at the beginning. What was that process like of getting that pitch?
Yeah, you first.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I think to give you an idea of like kind of vaguely what this looked like, it was probably like November. I got an email, I think it was from Kyle, one of the producers at the time, who was like, hi, we're working on something for the new season of Dimension 20. I cannot say anything about it. But we are looking to get storyboards done. Are you interested? And I was like, how could I possibly refuse? So I immediately was like, forget school, we're doing this. I didn't actually, I didn't drop out or anything, but I was like, we're gonna focus on this for a little bit. And they gave me like a very brief, like, okay, this is what the season is about, like vague keynotes. It's gonna be about like action, it's gonna be adventure, it's gonna be like, we want it to be action gore, but not like actually gore. It was like a fine line we were writing there. And they were like, we want to try some things out first. So at the very beginning, we tried to storyboard. I did a test where we storyboarded a section where they were concerned about things slowing down in the episode. So there's a section in, I want to say episode, I think 4 or 5, where they're at the hotel and they have a conversation with someone who works at the hotel, and they are selling t-shirts, and there's a flash period involved. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're familiar.
Yep.
And originally that section was storyboarded because they were concerned about things being slow. And then they were like, hold on, the cast is funny enough as it is. We're good. And then we tried storyboarding a different scene. We did the submarine, actually. And the idea for that one was, what if we tried, instead of just cutting on the action, showing like the storyboarded action sequences, what if we included like banter at the table? And what if Brennan was a director? So I did storyboards of the scene, but it also included, Sandy's familiar with this, but I also included shots that, for instance, in the episode, there's a cut between boards where Brennan says, like, do you click the thing on your watch? And we cut back to the storyboards. But originally there was a scene in there where you could see Brennan in boards off screen being like, hey, do you want to click your watch? And it's like, oh yes, thank you. But even then they were like, nah, we can make this even more so. And I was like, okay, great. And at that point, I think that took like 4 months of us figuring out like, okay, what parts do we actually want to animate? Or storyboard, I should say. And then at that point, we figured out like, okay, what we really want to do is get the action scenes in there, because that's the thing that we really get from action movies. And also it's just fun. Who doesn't love seeing explosions and people like getting shot and everything? And it's at that point that I got the email that roped Sandy in, and the infamous Calamity animatic, and they were like, this is what we want, this is what we want. I was like, okay, got it, message received, we got this, we need people. And they were like, we got Sandy. I'm like, hell yes, okay, perfect. So yeah, that's kind of what happened. So that took 4 months, and then I think we got to February, and I think that's when things started, and I think it took us until May.
We had like 2 months to actually do the thing that was in it. It was like, you had 4 months leading up. And I was like, when I saw what you had done, it was like baffling, just like how much work that must have been. Because this is like minutes of like storyboards instead of these like 2-second flashes.
I want to say that I have a method. I just black out for a month.
Like if we had to do that for the whole series, it would have taken years. As far as my process is concerned. But so then at that point, when they did figure out what was actually going to be done, they emailed me. I was like, so I work as a storyboard artist on Rick and Morty full time, and I was like pretty close to the end of a season, and gonna have a break soon, but not yet. And got the email from Kyle saying like, here's what we want to do. You can work on Dimension 20 or next season. Brennan saw your YouTube video and said it was great, and I was just melting. And after
I think it's more
first
validating
making
than getting
sure that it wasn't fake, because like I'm very much always worried about that. But when I was sure it was not fake, and I mean, obviously I'm like, yeah, of course I have to do it. So then it was a lot of figuring out, back and forth of like figuring out how much I could feasibly do, especially while having another completely different job. So for a few weeks I was overlapping those two things and just absolutely killing myself, like working day and night and weekends. But once the full job stopped and I was just focusing on this, it became much more chill, much more relaxed, and we moved through it.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate it because it turned out great. Yeah, it's funny to me that the Rick and Morty Dimension 20 crossover universe of like Siobhan and Alex both written there and now have like performed. And I had made I've talked to Alex as well, and I made the assumption of like, oh, Siobhan must have been like, hey, you should come play. But it turns out Alex knew Brennan from like New York Improv, and that's how like they got to the show. And I was like, everyone from Rick and Morty is just coming over to Dimension 20. It's delightful.
It's a small world.
I got to meet Siobhan one time at a like rap party. I think I started working on the show like just as she left, but we had a little bit of crossover on one season, so we went to the same party, which was nice. But yeah, it's a lot of crossover.
Yeah, you talk a little bit about sort of the process of getting to what ended up being the storyboard animatics. How much guidance were you given as to the scenes? Was it more of a like, watch everything, figure out what you want to do, or like, no, we want to make sure we see a man shoot in a ejection chair to the moon? Like what was a bit of both? Like, how did that break down?
It was very specific. Like they knew exactly the moments and the lines that they wanted, so they give us the raw footage of the vague clip with like blacked out sections of where they want the animation to be. And we had a little bit of flexibility in like how, if we want to push it by a couple seconds on either side or stuff like that, or move clips around. But we didn't have to like comb through the episodes looking for the stuff we wanted to do. They were.
That would have been a lot of footage to go through.
Yeah,
a lot. We did watch the whole thing, but
oh yeah, no, we got access to the full video. Like our DU section saw to watch it. It was amazing.
Yeah, I'm like trying to think now if there was like sections that are in it that we didn't get to board that I would have wanted to.
Man, there's a lot.
Yeah.
What I would have given to do the senator thing where Alex is like, I'm here to go to work. Like
yeah. It deserved
I wish I could have done the dogs going off throh the wall and then exploding, and then it's a hologram. That
would have been so insane. Oh my gosh. It was very funny though, because we did get access to the full raw footage. And they did give us the sections that like, we want these parts, and they would black out the sections where they're like, put storyboard here. But there was absolutely like some back and forth where I would email Sky, the lore keeper, and be like, totally normal question. So the president is a vampire, but also a robot. Can you just like, can I clarify? Is he a vampire or a robot? And they're like, totally normal question. He is both. And I'm like, okay, got it. I have several emails of them being like, this is totally a normal thing. I don't understand where we lost you.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, I hate doing this, but I've also talked to Sky, and like, we talked about. I think it was it was right before. No, it was sometime during Never Stop Blowing Up, because they were like, yeah, it was difficult to take notes on this season.
The Airtable of all the different characters, horrific. There's so many interesting. The notes themselves, I'm like, wow, what's happening here?
I mean,
what a great season for it, anyway.
I mean, a season that certainly had new levels of like animation in the dome as well, in terms of what we got to see. I mean, like 100 different bullet effects, as well as like smoke and lightning and everything else that you could have. And then it felt like it just felt extra special to then also have these really cool animatics. I would love to get into if like technical process of how you even storyboard make these things, in terms of, I mean, especially because they are storyboards. I'm assuming you draw a storyboard first and then start to animate. I don't know how animation works. I barely know how computers work.
It's kind of interesting because like the style that they were going for, like we had a lot of back and forth and like figuring out what they wanted them to look like, because it is kind of a strange middle ground between different things. Like they're going for sort of the feel of a like traditionally drawn live action storyboard from like the 80s, from like something you'd see in like Star Wars or something, if you look up like the storyboards, which are beautiful. Like if you find them, they're these like gorgeous shaded scribbly drawings of the frame, but they don't move. And like it's pretty important that they don't move. There's like 3 frames per scene usually, and those sorts of things. So we had to find a mix of that and like an animation storyboard, which is all functional and like just what the animators need to see to know what works. So they don't usually look that great. They move a lot. There's a lot of drawings that are pretty rough, and things kind of, now there's even more digital stuff with like keyframe animation and camera movement and stuff in there that no one ever had access to in old storyboards. So we were sort of figuring out a way to use the current style of animation storyboarding to suggest the look of an old traditional storyboarding. So we do it on a program that's called Storyboard Pro. That's what you used to, right? Okay.
Oh yeah. Couldn't have it any other way. It's the only way to go, truly.
It's the storyboarding program that everyone uses, and it's I don't know what your process is exactly, but mine's pretty much just you go through in passes, like scribbling nonsense, scribbling less nonsensey nonsense over it, adding keyframes with more scribbles, and then eventually going in with like a digital brush that looks like charcoal or looks like something, and cleaning up as much as you can while trying to keep the like looseness of the handheld charcoal feeling of it, and shading things with different sort of brushes that we had access to.
Yeah, it was about the same, honestly. Yeah. It was definitely, like you said, it was definitely interesting to find a way to marry the old look that they were looking for, because again, 80s, we really want to capture that, and then translate it to like some more modern techniques. One of the first I don't know if I still have the sticky note with the notes on it, but one of the first notes they gave us was like, make it exaggerated, make it anime. And I was like, anime in the 80s are two very different. Like, you want Western storyboards, but anime style. Let's see what we can do. So yeah, no, it definitely took like a few passes. I think, like, personally, what I do is, yeah, I would go through the clip, be like, okay, what do we need to hit? What scenes do we need to hit? Get like really rough scribbles, rough poses. Not even animating it at that point. And then, yeah, just figuring out what beats we want to hit. What do we want to exaggerate? What do we absolutely want to see? How do we make things like flow, especially? And then, yeah, just going back in, drawing it all, make sure that it looks as close to hand drawn as we can get. Yeah, I think it's really a lot of iterating is what it is.
And there was. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, go for it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I just think there was a lot of like back and forth that sort of helped us with that, like between us, because one of the like useful things was we did the basically as like a proof of concept. I think you had done it before, and then I did it. The first storyboard that you see in the show with the car and the katana on the chain with the motorcycle guy. We had both done versions of that as like just like proof of concept test to like see what it would look like. You'd done it before, and then when they asked me on, I did it to like just figure out how long the process takes and how much we could do. But because we did that, we were able to kind of see how both of us approach the same thing and then find like a middle ground between things. I think I went like much further in the 80s live action direction with my like framing and staging and stuff, and Melina had gone much more in the anime direction, and they
I simply cannot help it.
I like it was the same thing where I saw that and I was like, how the hell did you do that? That was
That's how I thought about that jump in episode 1. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
But so after doing that and after hearing their feedback from it, like they basically decided between those which they wanted to use for that first scene. They went with Melina's, so we could then use that as a way to combine our styles, where like I was drawing on a lot more of the anime stuff after that, and using getting a lot of feedback from Melina on like expressive drawings and like comedic facial expressions, which I'd avoided when I was trying to make it look like live action and stuff. And then I was giving like hints and tips on how to make it look more charcoaly, make it look more like paper and pencil and stuff. And so we were able to kind of, through communication, figure out how to make our styles fit together, which it ended up, I assume, working really well because people keep confusing them. Like, no one knows which ones.
It's true. people keep coming up to me being like, oh my god, I love that scene with Jennifer Drips. I'm like, that was not me.
Always, people were constantly like, oh, great job with the katana thing. I'm like, that wasn't me.
I mean, that's a good sign, I feel like, at least in terms of collaboration. So, that that and I will say, like, specifically this season, like, oftentimes it's not that I wander while I'm watching Dimension 20, but like if I have to do something, like, I'm not that worried because most of the time it's just people talking. So like if my eyes are off the screen for a couple of seconds, it's fine. This season in particular, not only could I miss like Izzy losing like her mind and like the beautiful reaction shots of those, but also like there might be a 2-second animatic that like I would miss if I wasn't watching, and I was like, all right, well, I gotta focus up. Like there's no like blink. I can't play Wordle while I'm doing this. Like it is on the screen and that's it. Yeah, it seemed obviously like you said, like people have confused which ones you have drawn, which like I said feels like a really high compliment in terms of the chemistry that two of you have and were able to build on that set or on these animatics. I'm curious. Oh man, I have a question, and it doesn't actually relate to the first half of that sentence. And I was hoping I would find the question,
It's
and I
okay. We
didn't
can
get
create
there.
a segue.
Yeah,
We can make it.
look. Yeah, it's fine. What about cast reactions, though? Because presumably, well, obviously, if they didn't come to you until November, they had already shot this season. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
guessing cast didn't realize, certainly when they were shooting, that this was going to be a thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would love to know what the full cast reaction is, but I did I did digitally attend an event at Dropout. I want to say maybe like about a month ago. They were hosting a screening at their lot, and it was a wonderful event. I met with a few people again digitally because they were hosting it there, and not to dox myself, I'm in Canada, so I was not there. But while I was being wandered around like a VTuber on an iPad, I did have a chance to say hello to Brennan, and absolutely lovely guy. I love chatting with him, and I think as you, Sandy, were like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. Brennan said that he loved my animatics. I had an exact same reaction where I did speak with him, and despite the fact that he knew that it was happening, what he said just, oh my gosh. I talked to him and I introduced myself, and he was like, you're the one that did. It's exactly what he said. He said, I watched all the premieres with my wife and child every night that it came out. And it blew me away every single time. And I'm like, oh yeah? And he's like, yes, this is the first piece of media I was subjecting my child to. And I was like, the first thing that you showed. I was like, you gotta start them young.
Yeah.
It's the highest form of praise I've ever received in my life.
Well,
I would love to know what the rest of the cast thought. I unfortunately haven't had the chance to really like bug them about that. But all I know is that Brennan loved it, and that makes me feel absolutely complete. I'm good.
Yeah.
I've peaked already. I don't have to keep working. Yeah.
no, yeah,
Speaking
I
of Brennan,
looked
he is
at all
absolutely a delight though to work with. Like, I don't know about you, Sandy, but like timing those boards, like as Sandy said, we had leeway for like, oh, if we want to add a second foot or remove a second. There's like one scene where when Greg Dang goes to space and the audio kind of like elongates a little bit. That was within the edit. They just paused there. Brennan's sense of timing is amazing. I didn't have to edit any of my boards. I think I edited one little bit of timing, but everything else was like, that was pure Brennan cinema. He knew exactly. He was like, this is the timing that we're doing. We're going to stick to this. I'm like, amazing. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like not even in the editing of the footage, just in him speaking. Just,
Oh, yeah.
like, being like, huh?
Incredible.
Bam. It's like,
he knows exactly what this was going to look like already. He was like, I can already see what this looks like in a minute in a cinema right now. I see it. Okay, we're gonna do that. Amazing.
Yeah. I don't understand how his brain works. Just
I wish
at
I did
all.
too.
Yeah.
No idea.
It's a mystery.
It's a marvel
I
and a
think
mystery.
to his closest friends. Sandy, have you gotten any cast reactions?
I certainly haven't spoken to any of them directly. I've seen cast reactions to the show, but not specifically to the things, just on social media.
Fair. I know. I'm sure everyone loved it. This is. God, I can't stop bragging tonight, and I'm not doing it intentionally. Part of me wants to text Iffy right now to ask him what he thought, but he's probably very busy because he's like the busiest human being on the planet.
Yeah.
And then if he doesn't respond while we're chatting, it will have just been a waste of his time.
I would love to know what he thinks. I would love to know what Alex specifically thinks about how massive we made Kingskin.
I mean, that was perfect. That was what Alex was going for. I mean,
perfect.
Yeah.
Then we did our job.
Yeah.
Brushing the head.
Yeah. I am. Oh God, amazing. Yeah, I am curious. Like, how much fun is it to draw explosions? Very or not very? Bit of
I mean,
both?
I would not be able to draw explosions without Sandy. I'll tell you right now. My explosions mid at most before Sandy was like, "Here's the trick. Do these things." So I was like, "Oh my god, my third eye just opened," and then it became very fun.
I
enjoyed it personally.
I have drawn a lot of explosions and only recently kind of figured out a bit of a pattern to like get it to look right, because I have a former roommate but like friend who's a prop designer in animations. I've seen Christian Palacios or Iron, but he does a lot of effects designs and animation for stuff like Owl House and that sort of thing, and he's kind of given me pointers about how to get the right shapes, and then it's a lot of just watching things to get the right.
I gotta get in touch with them.
That's so funny. It's like I don't know how deep in the paint you are on Dimension 20, but you know, like Brennan sticks like things to a blue tack and like does it to whatever, and that came from Shane Brockway, who's a mini maker, who told Rick Perry, who told Brennan, who told Matt Mercer. Like you can see this like chain of like like where these things now of like, yep, you grab blue tack and you can stick it to that to the side of a Tarrasque, whatever you got going, right?
Truly amazing, like revolutionary idea that I can't believe we haven't thought of sooner.
Yeah. But that's what this feels like the Owl House to Sandy, to Melina, like as you like pull down like the oral history of drawing explosions.
But then even after that, still a lot of it is whenever I need to draw an explosion, Googling how to draw animated explosions and on Google Images and just seeing the little clip art things that pop up. It's like, right, it's like that.
Yeah. If only there was a Google tutorial for drawing underwater explosions, because I've said this multiple times on websites. I'm certainly on a list for how many times I had to Google underwater explosions. It's bad. Like, especially because I have to look up Russian submarines and then immediately afterwards underwater bomb.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? I'm sure. I'm sure no one's put me on a list. It's fine.
There's no tutorials about that.
I remember I was playing a D&D game once that I was DM, and I had to Google how big is a building, which isn't a really helpful Google because it's not specific enough. It's like, what do you mean a building? And I'm like, but like walls. I don't know how big a wall is. I need you to tell me how big a wall is.
How thick are these walls? We gotta find out.
Yeah, like this is important information for me. But yeah, like my Google history, also a nightmare. Because also, like, literally today I was talking to Catherine McCafferty, a comedian, and I was, like, looking up her IMDb, and she played, like, 20 years ago, a character called Sexy Teen Daughter on some, like, shorts TV show, and I was like, God, I'm not on. What list am I on now? Because the word "sexy teen daughter" is like in my history. Like that can't be great. So
thank God for Safe Search.
Yeah,
every artist's Google history is just a nightmare of just like looking up like house explosion, a person on fire, or some like really specific like just type of person to see what their face looks like.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why do you
gotta look up different types of guns?
42-year-old Malaysian like person trying to figure out exactly our reference photos are there's too much stuff. And we're on so many lists.
It's an unfortunate reality for most artists.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. It seems like, I'm guessing you were both big Dimension 20 fans coming into this. What brought you into the fandom / how excited were you about getting the call? You've talked about it a little bit, but like feels like a real look. I got to interview Brennan not that long ago, and like my brain it took 6 months to organize, and he was with 3 other people, but like still I was just like, I don't know what to do with this is wild.
No, for sure. Oh God, when did I enter the fandom? Sandy, you might have to go first. I don't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, and you had worked on it. You'd worked with them before. Like this was the first time.
Yeah,
I
Oh yeah, no, sorry. Yeah,
no,
yeah,
go
go
no,
for
you
it.
go. You found your thought,
Yeah, no, I did.
and then I derailed
um,
you again.
no, no, all good. Yeah, originally I worked with them first. I believe it was March 2022 when I was still at school. I only graduated recently, so that's it has not been very long. I was in my second year at Sheridan College to study animation, and one of our exercises was to do lip sync, so hand drawn lip sync. And I had chosen a clip from Game Changer because I think at the time only like two seasons had been out, or something like that. I don't quite recall. And I had done a clip, the lip sync exercise to the clip of Pretty and Well Met, like the Spirit Airlines. I can recite that entire thing by memory now. Oh Lord. And I had done that. I posted it, and I think that was my first time really interacting with fandom because, despite the fact that I'm an artist who adores a plethora of things, I do not post or interact with fandom. So this was really my first time just posting and putting out into the world. It was always encouraged by us to do that, so I was like, what? Yeah, sure. And I posted it, and lo and behold, less than an hour goes by. Sam, Brennan, and Erica Ishii have all seen it and all commented on it. Sam messages me indirectly, in DMs, being like, "That was sick," and I'm like, "I can die happy." 3 days go by. Andrew Bridgman contacts me and is like, "Dimension 20 animated?" I'm like, "Oh, well, I can't say no." And that was like kind of the start of the business relationship. I did, let's see, the first one was Plugs But Ugly Stuff Hut because I adore Starstruck Odyssey. It's honestly one of my favorite seasons. Just because I love space. Sci-fi is fantastic. And then I did Gunny Gets Maple Cake. Then I switched seasons. I did The Lords of the Feather Spill Their Secrets. Then I did Cinderella. And I think Cinderella's Mice is what spurred the next email, which came from Kyle, who at the time I also was like, is this real? Because I had no contact with anyone else from Dropout other than like a rogue message from Sam and from Andrew being like, Dimension 20 animated? And then suddenly Kyle shows up like, I don't know who this man is. I don't trust. It took me, I think, 2 days to respond. Because I was like, I don't trust this. And then came Never Stop Blowing Up. But I think I want to say the first time I actually like consumed Dimension 20 content was the Yes or No monologue. I mean, I feel like that is for a lot of people. It's just a timeless classic. And then soon after that, one of my friends introduced me to Fantasy High, and I think that was, I want to say, in 2020. So it took a good 2 years of hyperfixation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a
Just
good 2 years.
A lesson to everyone: go to animation school. Sheraton, you said. Obviously, they know what they're doing there. Animate stuff and put it on the internet, and everything's gonna work out fine.
Amen.
Sandy,
Very
how
true.
about you?
I mean, I was watching Dropout stuff. I basically started watching College Humor Dropout stuff right when Dropout started, so I was there
The whole time?
Fantasy High when it started, and
An OG.
you know, immediately loving it, got episode 2 and all that, and just, you know, have watched every season since then as it came out, and I mean, I end up in basically the reason I got into it also was just that I watch and listen to pretty much every D&D podcast and show that exists, because it's all I think about all the time. And I also can't exist in silence and always need someone talking in my ear. So as soon as there's like brilliantly edited video comedy improv version of that, I was immediately like, yes, give it to me all the time. And yeah, I was at I started watching in college at RISD, also learning animation, storyboarding stuff, and eventually also just doing like the same sort of thing. Not full animation stuff. I did very little of that, but doing, random little animatics of clips. I don't know if I ever did a other dropout thing when I was just playing around with myself, but a lot of like the same sort of thing with like a my brother and me clip, or Game Grumps clip or something like that. It's really good practice. That is actually good advice. That as
it's very true.
For when you're like studying animation and that sort of thing, to just like find something that makes you laugh, and visualize it, put it out. To always be doing things and finishing things and putting them out into the world, even if you don't put it out into the world, as long as you finish it. But and then eventually I did that Critical Role one because Calamity was the best D&D thing I'd ever seen, and made me cry.
Melina and I just violently shake our heads.
Yeah,
yes.
No, yeah.
As soon as that finished, I started drawing the my favorite moment in it, and put it on TikTok and stuff, and then a year later, got an email about it from during the middle of work in my office, and I replied immediately. So
yeah.
That's so fun. Yeah, you've both mentioned obviously putting stuff out there. I talk cast. How about fan reaction? I can tell you, as someone deep in the fandom, ooh boy, do people love this. Like, you two were like very like everyone always asks me to get Brennan, right? Like, that's a universal. Like, whenever I'm like, who should I interview? People universally are like, Brennan. I'm like, so then it's now become like, who should I interview? Don't say Brennan. I can't get him. He's so busy.
He's doing a lot right now. He's also a father.
Yes. But like the two of you, they're like people went to the extent of finding your names in the credits to be like, I want you to interview Melina and Sander. Like, that's these and I was like, got it. Yeah, I'm on it. Let me slide into their DMs because they don't know who I am.
Oh my God, someone's asking for us. We're not in trouble. Insane. Oh my goodness.
But how has fan reaction been for y'all?
I mean, I have seen, like, I posted all of my boards on Twitter after episodes came out because I was just so excited to have participated, and I was not expecting the amount of people being like, oh my God, I love that part. Or there's so many people who caught my personal favorite moment in the boards where Greg goes to space and he looks at the window and there's a reflection of Dang. Because originally I had done that in the Katana chase, but due to like wanting to foreshadow things, we decided to forgo that. But I still wanted to keep that because I was like, oh, I'm not letting Dimension 20 go without this. And someone paused the video perfectly to go through the effort of getting that screenshot, and it made me feel so whole. I was like, oh my God. It's truly just so, it's so heartwarming to see how much people saw how much care we put into it and how much they appreciate that. It really feels so touching. Not only as like someone who enjoys the show and is happy to participate in it and is like, oh yeah, I did this and I'm glad that people appreciate what I've done for it, but also like as an artist, it means so much. It means so much. And like, I don't want to brag, but like, again, I just graduated. I could not have foreseen this happening. Like, I wasn't even out of school when I did it. I was in my final year. I was working on my thesis film, and I was doing this instead. And
you graduated. It's fine now.
I graduated. I still got my marks. I still got top. We're all good. But yeah, no, I could not have foreseen one, the opportunity and the sheer amount of people being like, oh my god, I love this. I'm like, I just got here. Oh. If truly, again, feels amazing. I'm trying to stay humble, but oh my god.
Don't stay humble.
It felt great.
You deserve your flowers. To accept them.
I will gladly accept them and all the explosions that come with.
Explosions and flowers. Which are...
I get flowers, they explode.
Fire, flowers, explosions. It's been awesome and crazy to see everything. I don't have a huge reach on like the social media and stuff and following, so a lot of what I see is my like friends and family who come to me. So like one of the most rewarding things that like I've seen is when people that I know have actually gone and watched the show for the first time because they saw the things and were like, oh, I like that, seems cool, I should watch the show. And
oh my god, you were their gateway. That's amazing.
Yeah, like,
how did they feel at the end of the wildest season of Dimension 20 that's ever existed? Were they like, what is this show that you work on?
But it's crazy to see that kind of response, and I don't know, I'm bad at taking compliments, so getting a bunch of them from strangers is always like,
you shut up as well then, because you also deserve your flowers. You did amazing work.
Sandy truly carried. It was really good. Everything that Sandy did was amazing. Every time he'd send me like a work in progress, I'd be like, but this is amazing. You don't have to touch anything. But I guess if you wanted to touch something.
Hey, Sam.
Do you... Oh yeah, go ahead. No, please.
I was going to say, just because Sandy mentioned like, oh yeah, showing it to the parents. I did share my clips with my father, who is a huge fan of 80s action films because that's the stuff he grew up with. So when I like try to like be like, hey, I'm working on something and I think it's kind of cool, and he's like, oh, that's super exciting. And then I'm like, it's like 80s action films. He's like, that's very exciting. But then I show him the clip when it comes out, and he's like, So he made a satellite out of cars and it went to space and it became a Gundam, and then he faxed a stick of dynamite. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what happened. He's like,
you followed the story. You got it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm proud of you. You did good. Like, yay! It's hard to show family and be like, I did this thing. They're like, wow. But they appreciate it, and that's what matters.
It looks great. What's D&D?
What's happening? This land is so large.
And Dropout is the show, but it's not on TV.
Dropout, like the thing that you did? No, the company. Oh. Yeah.
Matt, any particular favorite scenes, either that you animated or that the other animated from the season, that jump out at you? You mentioned Dang's reflection. Other than Dang's reflection,
I mean, I got my answer, Sandy. Okay, I want to work Sandy. So
do both. Do both.
I personally, my favorite scenes are definitely from Sandy are definitely the very first scene where you see Damian Blade and you see like the most deranged smile, and the explosions behind absolutely killed me. But not even that, the running across the rooftops absolutely blew me away when I saw that the first time, and even afterwards I was like, this is stunning. Oh my god. A great first episode to kick off with. And personally, I mean, I really enjoyed obviously Dang going to space was one of my favorites. But honestly, I really had fun with the finale. I don't know if we want to say spoilers.
I mean, we're 50 minutes in. Spoilers for the season.
50 minutes in. Yeah. Spoilers for the season. At the very end, the president turns into a biblically accurate version of himself. And I remember animating that and like wondering if I'm like, okay, what the hell does this look like? And when I was like, biblically accurate President Hancock is the funniest thing I could do. And I remember reaching out to Kate May, who actually did a version of the president, like looking a bit like a robot with like the fangs and everything. And I was like, so thoughts? Like, what do you think? And I snuck a design to them, and Kate was like, I've wanted to do this so badly, and you read my mind. And I felt so great. I was like, yes, I'm doing Kate justice. I think that was the most fun, trying to figure out how that would work and making all that stuff go. And immediately afterwards, the bomb going off. I think those were the most like validating moments, especially because it was also the last one that I did. So it's kind of like my little send-off. Time to turn the president into a pile of goo. Yep.
Yeah. I don't want to repeat, but a lot of mine are the same. My favorite one that I did, the one that I had the most fun with was also the running across the rooftops. First time we see Izzy's character, because I just love for like trying to translate Izzy's like mannerism and franticness into the body of God, Jack Manhattan. I was forgetting the name.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Look, I was about to say John McClane because I was like, I'm not going to get the name right.
I mean, close. The inspiration is there.
But it was, that was so much fun, and also something that I changed after seeing Melina's Boris, because like I gotta make the faces goofier, and I started one of the first things that I have really done in learning to animate was drawing a bunch of Spider-Man and running across rooftops, which I just always love drawing that no matter what it is. And then I was loving all of Melina's things. It was the faces in the dang going to space one, specifically when his faces are getting more and more stretched, and everything was so goofy and expressive. I love all of the motion in that, and the little bits of tears and the reflections and the things, just beautiful. And then I didn't get to see the last scene was one that usually we would pass them back and forth with each other to get feedback before we send it off, but we didn't have time to do that on the last one, and so I didn't see the biblically accurate
it was a little surprise
vampire gut seraphim thing until much later, and I was just so blown away by how sick that was.
Delightful. Sandy, Melina, this has been
one more.
Yes.
When the camera goes all the way around.
Oh God, the 360
shoots the the bullets out of his back like a frog. I was just that's the.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, because it was agonizing
to do.
You
didn't enjoy it. I know how awful it is to do that. That's a full 3D turnaround of a human body is absolute hell, and it was done so well. Just
Carlos specifically was
never choose to do that to myself.
Yeah. See, Carlos specifically was I'm imagining this for this scene, and I'm like, anything for you, Carlos. And then as I was doing it, I was like, anything for Carlos. Oh, anything.
That's what
I'm glad I still did it, but
that is what I was thinking when I was trying to do the 3D going through the brain neurons.
Yeah, that was amazing too. Oh my goodness!
They specifically say in the text that it looks like this, so it has to look like this, and I have to look. God, I have to break out actual 3D software to do this. Are you kidding me?
They put you to work. This has been such a delight. If the folks on the internet wanted to find you also on the internet to see some samplings of your work that you periodically post, where can they find you?
You can. I am on Instagram. It's Sander Does Art. I think I'm the same thing on TikTok. I post very infrequently, but occasionally when I have stuff, when I'm doing stuff outside of work, I get some things out there. Also, YouTube, just my name, Sander Goldman. And I mean, I'd love to see you.
Yeah. Well, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and LinkedIn, I suppose. Under the
I'm adding
username.
you on LinkedIn right now.
Finally, subtraction of LinkedIn. But yeah, you can find me on those places under Squirrel Curls, one word. If you don't remember how to write squirrel, now's the time to learn. That's the biggest thing that I get. I get someone my business card. They're like, I don't remember how to write squirrel. I'm like, here you go. you can remember now. But yeah, I also post pretty infrequently because being an artist takes time.
Yeah. But when it happens, couldn't be more delightful. Thank you both so much. This was everything I wanted and more. I'm so glad I got to talk to you about just truly such an iconic season. And really, I want to just look, I know you don't want compliments, but genuinely it is because the work the two of you did that really made it sing in such a beautiful, beautiful way beyond just the madness that the cast was putting everyone through. Thank you so much. I don't know how to end an interview, so I'm going to hit stop recording.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.